Given the scale of the social and political problems in Western nations, it is inevitable that some, in their desperation, will seek solutions ideologically and historically based outside of Europe. One such idea that comes up from time to time is the notion that Islam may possess some values or virtues that, if applied to nationalist thinking, could be instrumental in solving the socio-political problems we currently find ourselves in. But do ideas, especially ones of a spiritual nature, that are born of and developed by an alien ethnic group, really hold the solutions to Europe's problems? In this video, we will take a look at this idea in a little more detail. First, we will consider what, if anything, unique to Islamic thinking could be useful to European nationalism. And secondly, a brief look at the history of Islam and nationalism to see if they are even ideologically compatible. Within Islamic texts, as with nearly all religious writings, you can find examples of do-good virtues, like kindness, generosity and gratitude. But these are hardly unique. Ideas of charity, for example, can be found not only in Christian doctrine, but also within European pagan philosophies. One idea that may stand out in Islamic texts is its hostile stance towards usury, or riba. This again, though, is not unique to Islamic thinking, although they do put such thinking into practice. Christian texts also have anti-usury sentiments, and Tacitus commented of the Germanic peoples that usury was unknown to them. So does Islam have within it things that could be beneficial to nationalist thinking? Well, yes. But is any of it unique to the Islamic religion? No. Any virtues within Islamic texts that may be considered beneficial can be found in European writings and philosophy. There would seem then no point in highlighting Islam in this regard over, say, Christian or European pagan thinking, when you could just point to such philosophies without involving an outside belief system. In fact, upon closer inspection of Islamic belief, you will find its main tenets are not in charity or kindness, but in its demand of absolute devotion and belief in God. This is highlighted in the core values of Islam, such as the 6 Articles of Faith and the 5 Pillars of Islam. These core structures put nearly all emphasis upon this blind and unquestionable devotion to the Islamic God above all else. This call to complete devotion to God and the Islamic faith in general, above all other ideologies, as you might imagine, in many instances, manifests itself in direct opposition to nationalist sentiments. Numerous texts that are considered by many Muslims as hadith, that is the word of the Islamic prophet Muhammad, directly oppose nationalist and ethnic sentiments. One such example states, "He who propagates the creed of tribal solidarity, or fights for its sake, or offers his life for it, is not of us." The Sunni theologian Ibn Taymiyyah further expresses this idea and even calls such ideas jahiliyyah, meaning that such notions come from a time of total ignorance before divine guidance. Everything which is outside the calls of Islam and the Quran with regards to lineage, land, nationality, schools of thoughts and ways, it is from the calls of Jahiliyyah. Islam, like many universalist religions, puts their God above all else. Familial connections and national interests are secondary to that of the interests of faith and God. Despite nationalism being somewhat of a controversial subject within Islam, nationalist sentiments did start to emerge in the Middle East during the 20th century, mostly out of anti-imperialist ideas and a desire to modernize their nations. Such moves towards nationalism, though, were not welcomed by all, especially among the religious elite. Now, this ideological war is an exceptionally complicated affair, and although it has been raging for over a century, it is still very much an ongoing one. In fact, much of the current turmoil in the Middle East is rooted in this ideological battle between nation and faith. In the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, this battle concluded with the overthrowing of the Shah, which led to the birth of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini, who headed the Islamic Revolution against the Shah, sums up the religious sentiments towards nationalism quite fiercely when he states, "We do not worship Iran, we worship Allah. For patriotism is another name for paganism. I say let this land burn. I say let this land go up in smoke, provided Islam emerges triumphant in the rest of the world." As I have said, this period of Middle Eastern politics is a very complicated one, and has had massive ramifications upon the current situation in the Western world, especially regarding immigration. It is, though, far too complex a subject for the purposes of this video. I have, though, I believe, shown that the relationship between the Islamic faith and that of nationalist ideals are controversial at best, and at worst, diametrically opposed. All the apparent strength of Islam is, for the most part, an illusion. Islam did not bring order to the Middle East as a firm ally of nationalism, but instead complete turmoil as its enemy, albeit with the assistance of aggressive globalist powers for whom the destruction of nation states is essential for their all-conquering agendas. The only reason Islam has any power in the Western world is because Western globalist leaders allow it. They pander to Islamic ideology, giving them special rights whilst ignoring their crimes, thus bringing together two incompatible worlds, dividing nations, both in culture and ethnicity, paving the way for the ultimate destruction of the nation itself. The very idea that a faith born of a different ethnic group that has been shaped for millennia in the image of an alien ethnicity is a solution to the problems of the Western world flies in the face of ethnic nationalist ideology. Indeed, as Khomeini states, he would happily see his nation burn if it meant his universal faith, Islam, would conquer the world. Well, our nations are burning, and anyone adding to those flames by promoting one of the causes as a solution is certainly no ethnic nationalist, and much more resembles the destroyer of nations than the builder of them.